Colesville saints aren't the only ones that are asked to tether themselves to their covenants. I think you see it in section 57. The Lord repeatedly tells people to plant themselves in this place. What he's specifically talking about is in Zion. He wants these certain young saints to go and take their families and move to Missouri and start putting down roots, build businesses, make friendships, start to be a part of the community. What's tricky about that is Missouri is very different than Ohio and different from New York. You're in the South now, and the circumstances are different. Joseph described it as going back in time 100 years when they went to independence the first time. So this is a very different world. And it's hard to take your family and plant yourself in a whole different world. But what the Lord is trying to teach them, and I think teach us, is this is the only way forward. If the Lord gives a revelation that you need to plant yourself somewhere and you choose to stay put, then you start to be a little bit like Lot's wife, always looking back, always wishing you could go back to some old version of yourself or old version of your life. And progress is going forward. That's what this object lesson is all about. Because my hope here is that as you're clearing out the flower beds and grabbing perennials to plant in your flower beds or maybe in your pots around your house, you could talk to your kids about nursery plants. So when you get a plant from the nursery, it usually comes in a little plastic container. In fact, I designed the printables to go with those little plastic containers so that you could actually just cut them up and hand them to the kids in your class and invite them to plant that flower. Because the trick is, as cute as it is to put this little perennial flower in this tiny pot, it can't stay here. If I kept this flower in this pot and tried to keep it inside my house, it'd die. In fact, if I just tried to keep it in its plastic container, even if I watered it and set it in a sunny window, it will die. Because these perennial flowers are designed to have deep roots. They're designed to be outside in full sun for at least like 6 to 9 hours of the day. And you can't get that by staying in a safe spot. So you're going to give your kids one of these plants and you're going to invite them to plant it outside. And then talk about what happens when it goes outside. In the nursery, this little plant had a lot of shelter, right? It had some safety, had some comforts. It wasn't exposed to dangerous things or big winds. Out in the real world, in your flower bed, it's exposed to all kinds of things. But that's actually what helps it thrive. The full sun, the water that comes, the nutrients in the soil, the other plants around it, they strengthen this flower so that it can bloom all summer long. And then you want to talk to your kids about their own life experiences, times when they've felt the Lord has planted them somewhere. And remind them that no matter where the Lord plants you, what school you get into, or what mission you're called to, or what calling you're asked to serve in, no matter where you're planted physically, where you're really planted is in your covenants. If you live according to your covenants, you can find strength and peace no matter where the Lord plants you or how many times you shift around. That's the promise. That's what the flowers can teach you. He promises that if you plant where He has instructed you, outside where there's risk and discomfort, and just like these saints felt as they went to Missouri, you will find adversity. And in the process, you will find strength. You will find a way to blossom in a place that you didn't think was possible if you hold tight to your covenants. So that's what the printables teach you about. They link you to some of President Nelson's words about finding strength in covenant connection and how being planted helps us do that. So hopefully the printables will help.